In this video, we'll be testing the Kelty Discovery Basecamp 6 for its ease of setup, spaciousness, rain protection, comfort, and more. Out of the box, this is what I got: the tent body, the carry bag, the instructions, rainfly, pole bag, stake bag, 8 stakes, and 3 poles. Now here's the full setup time-lapse plus a rough breakdown on how to set up this tent. First, grab the 2 longer poles and secure each end into Kelty's quick corner sleeves. Next, secure the top pole clip to the top pole, followed by the 12 other pole clips around the entire tent. After that, drape the rainfly over the tent, matching the colors of the rainfly webbing to the tent webbing. To secure the rainfly, just buckle up the easy clip buckles at the 4 corners. And finally, secure the awning pole to the front of the tent and guy out the pre-attached guy lines. Altogether, the entire setup will take about 10.5 minutes. Taking down the tent is just the opposite of the setup, and it took slightly less time, about 9.5 minutes. The carry bag has a shark mouth opening, so it made everything easy to fit inside. For more details, I have a separate video with loads of instructions and tips to help you set up your tent more easily. The peak height in this 6-person Kelty Discovery comes in at about 68 inches, which isn't very high. I'm not very tall though, so I was able to stand up fine, but my head hits the top of the tent just 2 small steps away. That's because the peak height is only in the middle, and the rest of the tent slopes downwards. Next, the length of the tent comes in at about 116.5 inches. As for the width, that comes in at about 101 inches. Overall, that's a total base area of almost 82 square feet. As for the sizing, here's how many single pads can fit into this 6-person tent. As you might have guessed, it's 6 single pads, shoulder to shoulder though, and I'll show you the dimensions of the pads as well. This is quite a tight squeeze though, and at the sides of the tent, when you sit up, you won't have a lot of livable space with the tent hanging just right above you, and all the mesh will graze your head when you sit up. The pads are pretty close to the edge of the tent. There's only a couple of inches on each side, so you won't have much room at all to fit any other light camping equipment. But because they're pretty thin, the pads didn't eat too much into my livable space at all. I also tried inflating queen beds in this tent, and here's what happened. Basically, I managed to fit 2 somewhat queen beds in the tent. Here's all the info you need about them, and take note that they're actually a few inches smaller than an actual queen bed. But even so, they're pressed right up close to the tent body. So technically, you can't actually fit 2 queens in here. That's because the length of the tent is a little bit too short for that. With 4 people in the tent instead, it's a bit roomier, but still not the most livable space, especially at the sides. The Discovery has a single window at the front of the tent. After you unzip it, there is a toggle at the bottom of the window to hold it open. Dimensions aren't super big, coming in at just 43 by 13 inches, and there are no other windows in the tent as well. The rest of the walls are just like pure mesh walls. As for window quality, let's first talk about the 2 zippers. There's one going downwards and another one to the left following the curve of the window. I didn't find any branding on the zippers, but they were pretty much snag-free. One small con here is that because the awning pole is very tight on the tent, it sometimes makes a window a bit more difficult to zip up because of all the tension, but overall not a very big issue for me. And when the window is open, you get a very decent quality no-seam mesh with netting holes that are about this big. This tent has only a single door at the front, and you can keep it open with a toggle by the side. The size of the door measures 52 by 52 inches, so that's pretty big in size. And it also measures about 54 inches from the ground to the top of the door. Unfortunately, I still had to duck when going in and out of the tent. One thing I didn't like about the door was the zippers though, because it snags quite often. One reason is because this door has not 1 but somehow 2 rain flaps, so double the amount of snagging. And from the inside, the door sort of like droops in, making it hard to zip up one-handed because it keeps catching as well. But if you use your other hand to like guide the zipper along, this decreases the snagging a lot, not only on the inside, but on the outside as well. Also, these are two-way zippers, no brand as well, same as the window. For storage, this tent has about like 8 pockets. Some of them are single pockets, some are double pockets. Each single pocket measures about 10 by 6 inches, and the double pocket is just like double in size, but with a small separation in the middle. As for loops, there are 5 of them at the top of the tent, and you can use them to hang up lanterns for some lighting at night. Now, before we get into the rain test, let's check out the waterproof features, starting with the flooring. This goes up only about 18 inches, and everything else above the red floor is just like pure mesh. For seam taping, there are 2 seams running down the width of the tent, but these were all taped. All the seams on the red flooring were taped as well. These include the seams on the lengths, on the widths, and the seams in the corners, plus the seam running up from the corner as well. Everything else above that wasn't taped. The front wall of the tent isn't mesh, so I checked the seams there as well, and they were all taped. As for the rainfly, all perfectly taped seams as well. Speaking of the rainfly, 3 sides of the tent have a pretty long rainfly length, and only the front of the tent has a shorter length, held up by the awning pole. Now, first I put this tent through about 3 hours of light rain. I noticed at the bottom of the tent all seemed to be damp, but when I checked it from the inside, it wasn't damp at all, and the entire tent held up perfectly fine with no leaks. Why did all the water soak at the bottom of the tent there? Because the awning doesn't like overhang the tent by very much. Also, if you leave the door open in the rain, all the water will drip like right into the tent, which wasn't very good. I used a measuring tape to see if it at least overhangs the tent, but it doesn't. As you can see right here, there's actually still quite a few inches of exposed tent floor. Now, let's see how it does in the heavy rain test. After an hour of this heavy rain, I stopped the test to check in on the tent, and here's what I noticed. First up, the awning pole in the front doesn't really give a lot of coverage, so the bottom of the window was pretty damp. Then, after I opened the door, I realized that the awning really just isn't long enough, and all the water actually like dripped off the top and went right into the tent. On top of that, the door even droops into the tent, dripping more water in, and all the water leaks that you see here are from the top of the tent. Next, I checked the seams in the tent, including the corners, and found that they were all dry. All the fabric around the tent was dry as well. I checked the underneath of the rainfly, and I also found that it was dry. The rainfly covered the tent just nicely, and it didn't go past the mesh area at all. Overall, the Kelty Discovery did pretty great in the rain, and here's a summary of all the results. As for materials, the flooring is made of 60AD polyester with a 1200mm coating. The rainfly is exactly the same, 60AD polyester, 1200mm coating. The canopy is made mostly of mesh. This is no-seam mesh, and this mesh could keep out every single insect for me, and here's what it looked like compared to a pretty small garden ant. The poles are made from fiberglass, and these are about ½ inch thick, as you can see here. The guide lines are just regular shot cord with an easy-to-use tensioner, and the stakes are simple shepherd hook stakes. Also, this tent meets flammability requirements and is made in Bangladesh. Now, if you remove the rainfly on hot days, you'd find quite a bit of mesh on the tent body. I'd say that this is at least like 65% to 70% mesh, which is great for ventilation. This is great for stargazing and looking at views, but just remember that the front wall of the tent is fully fabric, not mesh, so not exactly like 360 views or anything. For portability, the Discovery 6 has a pack size of about 26 by 11 by 8 inches. There is a small pocket by the side of the carry bag. It has a really great over-the-shoulder sling for easy carry, and the total weight of everything comes in at about 14.2 pounds. For pros, I think the biggest one is the very inexpensive price tag for this tent. I think I paid about $150 for mine, which is great for a budget 6-person tent. You also get a lifetime warranty with this tent, which is great for the price too. The setup of this tent came in at only 10 minutes, which is quite fast for a pretty big 6-person tent. This tent doesn't have any pole sleeves, and you also have Kelty's signature quick corners instead of grommets, which helped to shave a minute or so off my setup timing. The pack away was easy as well. I thought the shark mouth carry bag was well designed, and I had no problem zipping everything away. I also love that this tent has tons of mesh for ventilation when camping in summer, with 3 walls of the tent covered in tons of mesh. And it was really good in the rain for a budget tent as well. It didn't leak at all, and so far I haven't seen a tent of the same price and capacity that actually performed better than this Kelty Discovery. However, I thought the awning was a bit too short and water just kept rolling off the roof and into the tent. If it were just a bit longer, you wouldn't have this problem and it would be perfect in the rain. I also thought that it would be great if this tent had some vents for rainy day ventilation. Right now, there are none. Also, there being no guy-out points at the bottom of the rainfly was another missed opportunity. Right now, the rainfly is right up close to the tent body. If they had added guy-out points, this would act as vents for better ventilation because it pulls the rainfly away from the tent, and this is what it'll look like from the inside. Definitely a lot more ventilation, right? This tent also has quite a low peak height. I've tested a bunch of other 6-person tents. Here's how the Kelty compares, and it's definitely the shortest one on the list, unfortunately. For example, this queen bed I'm standing on is only about 9 inches thick, but my head already almost touches the top of the tent. This tent also has a 2-pole structure, making it a very simple dome tent, so there isn't even any extended peak height at all. Overall, not the best livable space for sure. The materials don't seem to be the best too. The poles are fiberglass and the floor is quite thin at 68D polyester, but if you compare this Kelty to the Coleman, the materials are very slightly better. Emphasis on slightly because of course we can't expect fantastic materials here. And the last con is that there is only one door. This is at the front of the tent, and the other wall at the opposite end is just mesh with no door. Overall, there's an equal number of pros and cons, but I do think that if you're looking for an inexpensive but good quality tent, this is probably one of the better ones out there. If you want more options when it comes to budget-friendly tents, I do have the perfect video on screen here for you to check out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in that one.